The NHL season is officially here. What are the Edmonton Oilers doing to get ready for this season? Plus, what are the Edmonton Oilers power play units going to look like? And a quick update on the Edmonton Oilers rookies at the start of this season. All that and much more on today's episode of Locked On Oilers.
You're Locked On Oilers, your daily podcast on the Edmonton Oilers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Locked On Oilers podcast. I'm your host and former Oilers game day producer, Brett Holden, as the NHL season starts tonight. The New York Rangers and the Tampa Bay Lightning face off tonight, as well as the LA Kings and the Vegas Golden Knights. Tomorrow, the Edmonton Oilers play. They did have a practice today, so we will talk about the practice and some things coming out of practice today. Also coming up on today's episode, the power play, as the power play units have been a point of focus for the Edmonton Oilers over the past week. So what is it looking like, and what might that power play do this season? Also, to finish up on today's episode, we are going to talk about the prospects in the CHL for the Edmonton Oilers this year, as the CHL season has got started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you find your podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, what a day it is, as hockey is officially back. Yeah, we had the European series going on over the weekend. That's not NHL. Yeah, it's NHL hockey, let's be real. But the season starts today. As mentioned, the Rangers and the Lightning and the Golden Knights and the Kings all starting off the season tonight. What more could you ask for? Some Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, Tampa Bay, the biggest cities in the North America, really, and some massive teams as well. But let's get into the Edmonton Oilers, because that's all you care about, the Edmonton Oilers today, as another practice heading into the first game of the season for the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow against the Vancouver Canucks, as we did have some interesting news coming out of practice today. Once again, the lines at practice: Evander Kane, Connor McDavid, and Jesse Puljujarvi is the top line, looking like that will be the top line for the Oilers tomorrow. Dylan Holloway, Zach Hyman, and Leon Draisaitl on the second line. I should say Holloway, Draisaitl, Hyman. Hyman's not taking center reps. Ryan McLeod, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Warren Foegele is your third line. And to round out the forwards, Brad Malone, Derek Ryan, and Kyler Yamamoto is skating on that fourth line for the Edmonton Oilers. Now keep that fourth line in note, as we will come back to that in a second. Darnell Nurse and Cody Ceci on the first pairing for the Edmonton Oilers. Tyson Barrie skating alongside Brett Kulak. Both, first of all, defensemen flipped sides, it seems like. I'm not 100% sure if that was an error on Jason Gregor's part, or if that is actually, because this is all from Jason Gregor's Twitter. But if that is the case, an interesting note from Tyson Barrie switching from the right side to the left side, and Kulak changing from the left side to the right side. Something to watch out for. Both things that both of those defensemen have been vocally natural and vocally okay with, but we shall see if that continues. The third and final pairing for the Edmonton Oilers at practice: Ryan Murray and Evan Bouchard. Jason Demers was skating along with the team today. It was announced after practice, and Jay Woodcroft did confirm it, that he will be heading to Bakersfield. Jay Woodcroft said it's a PTO in Bakersfield. I don't know about that, but we shall see there. Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner, of course, the goaltenders there. Now, heading back to the fourth line, a couple of notes there. It is Brad Malone, Derek Ryan, and Kyler Yamamoto as of right now. However, it sounds like before the game starts tomorrow night, Brad Malone and Devin Shore might end up switching here. So it won't be Malone, Ryan, and Yamamoto. And If Kyler Yamamoto is not healthy to play tomorrow, Edmonton Oilers, it sounds like, according to Daniel Nugent-Hopkins from The Athletic, that they will go 11-7. Now, the interesting thing is, we mentioned that the defensive core right now is Darnell Nurse, Cody Ceci, Tyson Barrie, Brett Kulak, Ryan Murray, and Evan Bouchard. Jason Demers got sent down. He was released from his PT. So he's not really with the team. Broberg was assigned or reassigned to Bakersfield as well officially today. So who's going to be the 11-7? Who's going to be the 7th? Because as far as I know, there hasn't been a call-up as of recording this today, a call-up for that 7th defenseman. So who will it be? I'm just drawing suspense. Realistically, it's going to be, I almost said Dmitry Samorukov. Sorry about that. No, Dmitry Samorukov has, in fact, been traded. Markus Niemelainen is the guy that I was going to mention. I think it would be great to see Nemo in that lineup again. Add something that the Oilers don't have in the lineup at all, but especially on that back end to really punish the best players of the other team. So that'll be an interesting watch as well for the Edmonton Oilers. Also interesting thing to watch for as well, if Kyler Yamamoto is healthy, where does Puljujarvi play? Where does Yamamoto play? Which is going to be something that we get into a little later with the power play units. If Kyler Yamamoto is healthy, what now happens to the lines? Because this top 9, is very good. And plus the third line of Ryan McLeod, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Warren Foegele has really worked out. They have some chemistry together. Warren Foegele has had a very good end to the preseason. If Yamamoto comes in, does he enter onto that first line? Because he is skating on the fourth line just to get reps, I don't think he's going to be playing on the fourth line come whenever he's healthy. Or does he? And I'm not saying that to whatever, right? To take away from his abilities, but does he? Do the Edmonton Oilers throw him there? Do the Edmonton Oilers then put Kyler Yamamoto on the first line, Puljujarvi on the third line, and Foegele on the fourth line? And despite the fact that Foegele has had a good camp, he's still on the fourth line for $2.75 million. Now, of course, salary cap doesn't really matter. How much you're getting paid doesn't really matter when it comes to when you're playing, and especially if you're producing. But that's kind of a tough pill to swallow for the Oilers, especially considering they can probably get some sort of value for him in the trade market and as well get some cap relief at the same time. If Kyler Yamamoto is healthy. Is that an option for the Oilers? Because, again, you have guys like James Hamblin chomping at the bit. Tyler Benson, who is on LTIR, and that was not confirmed when we did record yesterday, but he is on LTIR, so there is that as well. When he comes back, is that a play for the Edmonton Oilers? There are a lot of things here for the Edmonton Oilers potentially in play. Plus, you got Matthias Janmark down in the minors. Well, Klim Kostin. The Edmonton Oilers just traded for Klim Kostin. I don't think they did that to not use him eventually at some point. So if Kyler Yamamoto, or when Kyler Yamamoto comes back, what happens to the bottom 6 more specifically in that first line? Because the Edmonton Oilers' second line is basically untouchable. Once again, the Leon Draisaitl line is the most stable. And yet people still don't give him the proper dues. Either way, that is right now the lineup that the Edmonton Oilers are going into the game against Vancouver at home tomorrow night. But what are the power play units going to look like? Because that is the biggest source of offense for the Edmonton Oilers, basically, over the last couple of years. But we might have some new looks, especially for the entire season this season. They did skate along with the power play units and had to focus on the power play units today, so we will talk about what came out of that in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about our partners over at Built. If you haven't tried Built Bar Puffs yet, what are you doing? You are depriving yourself of one of life's greatest joys. And guess what? There's a new flavor. Ready? Delicious, indulgent, cookie dough. Yeah, that's right. Cookie dough covered in chocolate. That's right. Built has done it again. Let me introduce you to your new favorite cookie dough chunk puffs, which have a light and chewy texture. Real cookie dough chunks. Yeah, real cookie dough chunks. And of course, they are covered in 100% real chocolate. All the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of actually making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. Cookie dough puffs, chunk puffs, are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. 15 grams of protein. Oh, I love my Built Bars. I have my Built Bar. I leave mine in the fridge because I do like a little bit of a chilling sensation. Is that the right word? When I do bite into mine, but they are the best. What's great about Built as well is that all of their bars are actually made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits with to your body as well. Eat something that tastes great and is actually good for you. Head to built.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON15, that is 15, to get 15% off your next order at built.com. Once again, that is promo code LOCKEDON15, that is 15, to get 15% off your next order at built.com. Alrighty, heading over to the Edmonton Oilers power play unit. As let's be real, it is the best, or has been the best power play unit over the last 3 years in the NHL. Yes, I know the Toronto Maple Leafs had the number one last year, but over the past 3 years, there has been no power play unit more consistent than the Edmonton Oilers. So, a lot of questions, including one from a buddy of the show, friend of the show, Brendan Escott, who said to and asked Jay Woodcroft if the Edmonton Oilers power play is where they want it at already heading into the season. And really, Jay Woodcroft said that was going to be the emphasis of this last week and past week, really, heading into the first game of the season. So, today, they did just that, and some news to talk about there. The first power play unit reported as Zach Hyman, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Tyson Barrie starting off the this season on the top unit. And on the second unit, Dylan Holloway getting reps on the second unit, along with Ryan McLeod, Jesse Puljujärvi round out the forwards, Darnell Nurse and Evan Bouchard on the defense, on the point for that power play unit. Now, something to mention as well was, it sounds like Evander Kane and Evan Bouchard may be a little interchangeable in that Edmonton Oilers power play unit too. So if he is in that power play unit, Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod, Jesse Puljujärvi, Darnell Nurse, and Evander Kane would be the power play two. I dig that. And it seems like the last couple of years for the Edmonton Oilers, the second power play unit has mostly just been, all right, chuck out the rest of your relatively offensive forwards at the end of the power play and just get ready for the transition of, okay, now we're 5-on-5. That unit, more specifically the one with Evander Kane on it, with Holloway, McLeod, Puljujärvi, Kane, and Nurse, feels much more like a unit that could actually produce and be successful in the offensive zone for the Edmonton Oilers, rather than just being a transition between the power play to full strength. Now, the other thing to note as well is that Evander Kane and Evan Bouchard were also taking reps with the power play 1 unit today. Bouchard taking out Barrie, of course, and Kane taking out Zach Hyman. So that would mean a power play unit 1 of Evander Kane, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. And at the point, well, really in the bumper spot is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and on the point, Evan Bouchard. That's kind of, I don't want to say more the idea that I would imagine, because I think Zach Hyman, not necessarily more suited for that power play or first power play unit, but it makes sense as well. But so does Evander Kane. Evander Kane's net front presence on the power play would be something that is super, super welcome for the Edmonton Oilers, because then they can have Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins really focus on the cycle of the puck, moving the puck around and getting the puck to a Leon Draisaitl, while at the same time having one of the best guys in front of the net, working the front of the net, working the defenseman, getting in front of the goaltender, and it's just going to start getting confusing for the other team trying to catch up to the best player in the world, the second best player in the world who hasn't really moved, has always been on the face-off dot going, I'm still here, and trying to navigate the best power play in the NHL. Now, a little bit of a wrinkle. Is what happens when Kailer Yamamoto comes back? Where does he play? Does he take Zach Hyman's spot? Does he take Evander Kane's spot on the first power play, which would basically be Zach Hyman's backup? Does he immediately slot into the second unit, and does he take off a Dylan Holloway? Does he take off a Jesse Puljujärvi? Does he take off a Darnell Nurse? And then the Edmonton Oilers go Holloway, McLeod, Puljujärvi, Yamamoto, and Bouchard. Well, realistically, Holloway would then probably drop back to the bumper position and have it be Yamamoto, McLeod, Puljujärvi, Holloway, and Bouchard. Or do you stay with 2 defensemen on that second unit with Nurse and Bouchard, take off Puljujärvi and keep Yamamoto in? But Puljujärvi is a very good net front presence, and B, it works very hard below the face-off dots. So is that something you're willing to give up? Yes, you have Dylan Holloway, who can do the exact same thing as Jesse Puljujärvi below the face-off dots, and really below the goal line as well for the Edmonton Oilers. For a guy like Kailer Yamamoto, who as well also works very well in those board battles and below the goal line. I said it yesterday, and Jay Woodcroft says it all the time. First world problems. This is a first world problem for the Edmonton Oilers today, but let's be real, it's not a problem to really have. The Edmonton Oilers have so many different weapons that they can deploy. Honestly, Dylan Holloway can probably play on the first power play unit. Yes, Puljujärvi can play on that first power play unit. Why not put Puljujärvi where Hyman is on the first unit? And it may seem like I'm pushing some sort of Puljujärvi agenda here, but if you put him in front of the net with McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent-Hopkins, and Barrie or Bouchard, I should say, or Bouchard, that's an issue for the other team. You have to now get out of the way this gangly Finn who's 6'4", and also, again, worry about Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Evan Bouchard moving the puck around. Ryan McLeod will be the anchor of that second defense, but again, once Yamamoto comes back, does Yamamoto come in there? There are so many different options now for the Edmonton Oilers. It is starting to become clearer, but you can always improve. You can always try new things when you have a power play that good. That's exciting for the Edmonton Oilers. That is an exciting debate. But could the Edmonton Oilers also have a couple of future weapons on the power play very soon? Well, one guy in the farm or on the farm for the Edmonton Oilers, a recent NHL draft pick, has really shown his worth on the power play. And another one is just a pure sniper in the OHL. We will go through our prospect report in just a second for the Edmonton Oilers. But first, I want to thank you for making Locked On Oilers your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, make sure you tune in to Locked On NHL. Locked On experts give you a daily 30-minute podcast on all things NHL all year long. Stay up to date with everything in the hockey world with Locked On NHL, your daily 30-minute NHL podcast. Alrighty, and moving on to the prospect report for today. We're only looking at the CHL today, as obviously the Edmonton Oilers have a lot of prospects all over the world in the CHL and the NCAA, which actually has gone pretty well, if I may say so myself, and some in Europe. But we're just focusing on the CHL today, as the Edmonton Oilers have 4 guys in the CHL at the moment, or 4 guys really of note to talk about. The first one being the 32nd pick, overall pick, from this past year's draft, Reed Schaefer. Reed Schaefer's gotten into 3 games so far this year for the Seattle Thunderbirds, and wow. Picking up where he left off last year, if you haven't seen the viral goal from Twitter, I suggest looking up his absolute snipe of a goal on the power play from Reed Schaefer. He had 2 goals against Kelowna just the other day, in fact. 2 shots on goals, one of them, of course, that one being the power play goal against Kelowna again. Just, you have to watch it. If that's the future of the Edmonton Oilers right there, I think the Oilers are in pretty good hands. Obviously, Reed Schaefer has that physical side. Everybody wants to see his scoring keep going for the foreseeable future. So if he can keep that going, that's big. Once again, 3 games played so far this season for Schaefer. 3 goals, no assists, 3 points on the season with 6 penalty minutes. Seattle is currently 4-0-0 this season, undefeated. They do play the Edmonton Oil Kings in just a couple of days. Unfortunately, not in Edmonton, in Seattle. And unfortunately, Seattle won't be making a trip to Edmonton this year. If you are unfamiliar with the way the WHL schedule goes, 1 year the American teams, or basically an American team, will go on the Western, well, technically Eastern Conference trip. So they'll come through Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer, all those types of places. And then they'll flip the script, and the following year, the Edmonton, the Calgary, the Red Deers will come to Seattle. It all depends on the team as well. Some teams like Calgary are down there, whatever. It's part and parcel really to what we're talking about. But long story short, Seattle will not be playing in Edmonton, unfortunately, this season. There are, though, a couple of Oilers prospects that will be playing in Edmonton. We'll talk about them a little later on, but let's head to the OHL and Matvei Petrov, as Matvei Petrov has returned to the North Bay Battalion, and speaking of guys who have picked up right where they left off. There you go. 5 games played for Matvei Petrov so far this year. 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. What did you expect? He's already at over a point per game total this season. Against the Sioux in his first game of the season, the Sault Ste. Marie Is it still Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds? It might just be the Sioux Greyhounds now. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, really starting off the season with a bang there. He has a point in every game so far this season except for one, and that game that didn't go too well. But North Bay this season, a little bit of a battle. It's going to be an important season for the battalion this year. They are 3-2-0 this season through 5 games. So it's going to be a battle for North Bay, but Matvei Petrov right in the middle of it for the battalion. Another WHLer, the Edmonton Oilers have 2 more WHLers to talk about here today on our prospect report, which is kind of maybe not necessarily different because the Edmonton Oilers have had some WHLers over the past couple of years, but not too many. Realistically, the only WHLers I can really think of then Edmonton Oil Kings, which we all know how those went. But no, now the Edmonton Oilers do have some talent within the WHL that if you are trying to look for Edmonton Oil Kings tickets, look for the games against these teams. And the first one being the Brandon Wheat Kings and Jake Chason, the Edmonton Oilers 6th round pick from not last year, but the year before. I believe he had a tough injury last year, so he missed most of the season, but is playing this year. And we want to talk about players who are also excelling. Here's Jake Chason. 4 games played so far this year. Kind of the flip of Matvei Petrov. He has 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points, where Petrov has 3, 4, and 7. Jake Chason has 4 goals, 3 assists, 7, points. There we go. In his first, last night, actually, just last night for the Brandon Wheat Kings, Jake Chason had a goal and assist, 2 points versus Calgary, the Hitmen, and was named the first star of the game. In fact, he's been named the first star of the game twice already this season, twice of the 4 games he's played this year. The other game he was named first star on, or first star in, he had a goal and 2 assists, 3 points, and that was in the season opener against Max Wanner's Moose Jaw Warriors, and that is where we are heading next. Jake Chason had 2 goals against the Saskatoon Blades this season. Brandon is playing in Edmonton. Just before we get to Maximus Wanner, they are playing in Edmonton on November 18th. They are playing against the Oil Kings. So watch out for the Brandon Wheat Kings and Jake Chason here at Rogers Place on November 18th, because he is a player to watch for the Edmonton Oilers in the future as well. Brandon is 2-2-1 this season. And to wrap it up, the prospect that signed a pro deal or his entry-level contract before heading back to the Moose Jaw Warriors at the end of his training camp, that is Maximus Wanner, who had a very impressive camp for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the thing about Max Wanner is he's only played in 2 games this year. Not to injury. I was going to say to no fault of his own. It is the fault of his own. But it's not due to injury. Max Wanner has just served the 3rd game of his 3-game suspension that he actually suffered against or had or whatever, got against the Brandon Wheat Kings, Jake Chason's Brandon Wheat Kings. After an ugly hit, I won't lie, it was a little bit of an ugly hit there. But again, Max Wanner imposing his physical will. What's new? In those 2 games, however, Max Wanner has had 1 goal, 1 assist, 7 penalty minutes already. He has a 2-game point streak, though, in those 2 games. Did score a goal against the Prince Albert Raiders to start his season off. They do play, once again, he plays in Red Deer on Friday, which again is his first game back from his 3-game suspension. And Moose Jaw is in Edmonton on January 10th here at Rogers Place. So it is a little bit into the future, but you can watch a couple of Edmonton Oilers prospects. November 18th against the Brandon Wheat Kings, Jake Chason, and January 10th, the Moose Jaw Warriors are in town for Maximus Wanner and the Moose Jaw Warriors, really. Alrighty, let's call it there as What a day it is. The NHL season starts tonight. The Edmonton Oilers season starts tomorrow. A massive look ahead for the NHL season, for the Edmonton Oilers season, I should say, tomorrow, and for the season opener. I almost said home opener. Nuh-uh, it's the season opener for the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow. What a day it is. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And play La Bamba, baby.